Good morning. Namaste. It's a beautiful snowy morning here in Sedona. When you see me gazing out this direction, it's because I'm looking at more of this. There's such a stillness that comes with the snow, a quiet that we all know. Anyone who's spent any time in a sweet, snowy morning or day recognizes the stillness and the quiet and the comfort that comes through that stillness and quiet. And sitting in meditation this morning, there's a real faith now in being resting in the stillness as the stillness, not needing to have a story of self, not needing to have a constant narrative, constant dialogue, but being able to be in the nothingness, the no-thing-ness, and recognize that there is a huge value in that, because it's actually a resting in the expansive nature of being that is far greater than any idea of self that the mind can conjure. And a couple of metaphors came up this morning, analogies maybe, that imagine that you've constructed a house on a beautiful piece of land. And just as we construct an idea of self and an identity of self, I'm worthy, I'm unworthy, I'm lovable, I'm not lovable, I'm good, I'm bad, that we've programmed ourselves, we've constructed an idea of self in our mind based on our stories, our beliefs around things that have happened in life, the conditions of life, and we've constructed an idea of self. So it's like constructing a house, right? Because as we've talked about before, the mind can only know objects. The mind can't really be with nothing, no-thing-ness, emptiness. That's, the heart can do that more, but the mind struggles with that, and so it tries to create objects out of everything. So it's created an object out of our eternal, infinite nature, and it's tried to create a self, an ego-identified self. So we've constructed a self, and it's like constructing a house on a beautiful piece of land. And what if someday you recognize, wait a minute, this house I've constructed, no matter how beautiful or ugly or hellish or heaven-like this construct is, it's limited. It's actually built upon a natural land, a natural grace, a natural beingness, wholeness, peace, love, compassion, presence, that is the natural state of being. But I didn't know that, and so I built a self on top of that. That veils me, that as long as I'm identified with this construct, this house I've built, then I'm not really in touch with the land upon which it is built. And what if we deconstructed that house and removed it for just a bit of time? Just in our meditations, we remove the construct of self, we remove the house. What happens is, what we typically encounter feels like barren land. It feels like there's nothing there. It feels like an emptiness, a stillness, if you will, a quiet, a silence, an emptiness, a no-thingness that the mind, the chatter of the mind, tries to fill because it doesn't like no-thingness, emptiness. But when we can train ourselves, when we can learn how to abide the stillness and the emptiness and the quiet, what might we discover is there? But we have to endure the no-thingness, this barren land that is there when the house, the construct of self, is removed. That barrenness, that emptiness. To sit with it. To not need it to be anything in particular. To not need to then create with our mind from that no-thingness. Let it be no thing. And sure enough, with that love and presence and stillness, that barren land, that emptiness that initially feels like there's no thing there, and there is no thing there, starts to burgeon, starts to blossom, starts to bloom. It's not like the house gets removed and immediately there's just this springing forth of the natural land. We know that it takes a while for something precious that has been covered for a long time to reveal itself when it is finally liberated from the oppression, from the thing that has been oppressing it. And it's like, another analogy is that imagine that you've been listening to really loud music for a long time. And maybe you're even outdoors and you got your headphones in. And you're just listening, even beautiful music, but you're listening to something external, creating, filling the space, filling the space, filling the space. And then if you were to suddenly remove the headphones, and there you are out in the wilderness, it would take a little while for you to acclimatize, to come into a resonant vibrational alignment with the silence. And you start to recognize that it's actually not so silent. Maybe you start to hear small bird calls, even from a distance, just this faint whisper of a bird call that was there all along underneath the music. You hear the trickle of the stream or of the creek in a way that you couldn't when you were so attentive to the noise that you were creating through the music. We've got a noise in our own mind of self, constantly an I and a me that is referencing constantly, what do I think about that? And is that a threat to me? And does that please me? And does that displease me? And that me and that I is really our conditioning. When that is quieted, it can take a little while to listen to what is naturally and gracefully already present. So we start to hear the bird calls, we start to hear the creaks, we start to hear the little chatter of squirrels and chipmunks, and a distant call of a hawk, and the light wind in the trees. And the longer we sit in that stillness, the more that those sounds are, we don't have to strain to hear them. They are so prevalent and rich. It's the same with our own natural, authentic beingness. When we sit and we point our awareness beyond the story of self, beyond the thoughts, beyond the chatter, and we allow that awareness to expand or to be pointed to the expanse of beingness that is beyond the limited construct that we have built of ourselves. And if initially it may seem like there's nothing there, the ego mind will say, well, see, this is baloney. Can we get back to creating a better self? Let me get rid of my disempowering beliefs, thoughts, self-image, but only to replace it, reconstruct a house, reconstruct a new self, a better self, a self that I like more. But what if we didn't reconstruct the self and just allowed ourselves to be in the stillness, the no-thing-ness? I promise you, what begins to show itself, to reveal itself, to blossom, is an eternal and infinite nature of consciousness that we are. And we can't know that and and abide that and come into alignment with that if we're so busy recreating a self, reconstructing a better self, a better house. Once we come into harmony and grace with that infinite nature of being that is already everything we're looking for, the peace, the wholeness, the stillness, the grace, then we can bring back in a construct of self, if you will. And it's like we would be living in then a structure of being, a structure of self that is more in harmony with the nature, with the land. We still want to play music in our lives, but we would play music that is more harmonious with the creek, with the stream, with the birds, with the air moving through the trees, the wind moving through the trees. We come into a grace, we come into a beautiful knowing, a heart knowing, or even beyond the heart knowing. We come into a knowing that the mind can't know the formless self. Consciousness is formless. Unconditional love is formless. It's a isness. We come into that relationship and a trust and a knowing with that formlessness that we can allow it and not need to reconstruct an idea of self so quickly to cover up the boredom or the there's nothing here feeling. Through the no-thing-ness, the everything, the infinite one consciousness can be known. And then we can be in our personal identity that plays with and is in beautiful relationship with the divine. So the snow today is just a beautiful reminder of that stillness, of that blanket of quiet within which we may discover what is always there and always present, waiting to reveal itself, waiting to be discovered, that isn't created, it isn't made, it isn't constructed out of the mind, it is the true grace of being that is always present underneath the noise of our constantly recreating story of self. So endure the stillness, endure the no-thing-ness, and just watch your mind in your meditations. Watch your mind as your mind starts to let go and the awareness spills out into the no-thingness. And just watch how the mind struggles with that and wants to create a thingness and to objectify the experience. Just let it be. And you will find that what shows itself, what reveals itself, what grows, what burgeons, what flourishes in the absence of the construct of self is the eternal nature of being, which we can't know until we allow it to reveal itself through the stillness, through the presence, through the silence. Blessings. Namaste. Enjoy. If you like this video and you'd like to see similar content, please subscribe to my channel. As well, click that like button down below, and that's going to make this video more available to more people. And please visit me at my website, chessedwards.com. There's a link for that down below. There you are going to find valuable resources for living a conscious, powerful, and peaceful life. As well, you're going to find information about how to work with me one-on-one
or how to build your own custom 3-day private immersion retreat with me here in Sedona. Plus, there's information about upcoming group retreats, virtual retreats, and so much more. And I've got a few free gifts for you. I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.